And hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Pascack Clutch Podcast here on our PH Athletics YouTube channel. I'm Matthew Merlino, along with Alex McKay, Michael McKay, and Sam Koppelman, and our guest once again this week is a very happy Mr. Casamento. And we'll tell you why he's happy in just a few moments, but first let's start with our Pascack Hills school sports. And we'll start with Hills boys basketball. They have taken two straight losses, one a big one to Pascack Valley and one a 4-point loss to Cliffside Park. Although before that they defeated Westwood twice, one in divisional play to finish second in the Big North Patriot Division, and one in the semifinals of the Bergen County Invitational last Sunday. That final 58-55, meaning the Broncos will play this Saturday at 4:30 at St. Joe's High School in Montvale against White Morrow in the Bergen County Invitational Tournament Finals. There's a trophy on the line, and we'll see if Hills can win that to give them some momentum heading into the state tournament. They're ranked number 5 right now for state tournament, and they will play Pompton Lakes at home in less than a week's time. This coming Wednesday, the 21st, they'll play Pompton Lakes. That game tentatively scheduled for 7 o'clock. We'll have coverage of that for you on our Huddle TV account, and we'll have coverage of the Bergen Invitational game on this YouTube channel. Boys and girls bowling. Boys bowling, we'll talk about them. Somebody that we know, that's right here, and is very sure of himself, contributed to a 2-1 victory for the Broncos over St. Joe's in the first round of the state tournament, meaning they will play number 2 Demarest tomorrow at 3 o'clock at Demarest in the state quarterfinals. Big win for you guys.
Yep. We bowled a 10:54 our third game, which, if you don't know, is incredible. I mean, our high game at counties was 9:69, I believe it was, which that alone is really hard. But I mean, 4 of us bowled 200 games, with Michael Chalney bowling a 244. I bowled a 237. Jason Torrentino bowled a 225, I believe, and Joe McNeese bowling a 202. Brian Lambrino, yes, he bowled in the 100s, but he still had an incredible game, and I mean, he won. So
big win for boys bowling. As we said, they'll play at Demarest in the quarterfinals of the state tournament. Girls bowling played in their quarterfinal game yesterday at Lakeland. They lost that 2-0, so their season is unfortunately over. We've got girls basketball today on Huddle TV. That's their final game of the season. They will not make the state tournament for the 4th straight year. Pascack hockey is a big one that we want to talk about. They finished the season on a 4-game winning streak, then going into the Big North Gold Cup tournament, the conference tournament. In the quarterfinals, they were matched up against Northern Highlands, the 1 seed in that tournament, who had beat Pascack hockey twice in this past season and had won the same division that both Pascack and Highlands compete in. But it was no problem for Juliana Kroll. She had her 5th shutout of the year against Northern Highlands, an unlikely shutout for Juliana. And the Pascack hockey team wins 3-0 off of 3 goals from Jack Sheehan, Justin Yu, and Zach Groves. Then they played last night against a Ramapo team who was about the same record as them, but Ramapo, according to a few sources, played against tougher competition. No problem for Pascack once again. They defeat them 4-2 in the Big North Gold Cup semifinals. The goals this time, 2 from Zach Groves, 1 from Owen Dargan, and 1 from Christian Grubik. That sets up a Gold Cup final round matchup, the final in the Big North Gold Cup, as Pascack hockey takes on Passaic Tech tomorrow at, I believe, 7:30 at the Ice Vault in Wayne. If you're from Hills or Valley or even Park Ridge, show up to that one. A trophy is on the line. And we've got 2 straight days with trophies on the line for us here on our PH Athletics accounts. Girls and boys swimming, we'll finish out with boys swimming. Did defeat Riverdale in the first round of their state tournament, 89-81, but they did lose at Livingston in the quarterfinals, 102-68. The final there, they finished their season with a 6-4 record. Girls swimming went undefeated in the regular season, 8-0. Added to that with a win against Morristown in the state quarterfinals, 102-68, but could not defeat the 1 seeds Ridgewood in the state semifinals. Final score of that one, 104-66, and the final record for girls swimming, 9-1. So now we'll move over to college basketball, where we have a lot to talk about. We'll start on Wednesday, last Wednesday, when Providence upset, at that time, number 19 Creighton in overtime. The final score, 91-87 in a big East game. for both of those teams as they try to lock up good seeding and first-round byes in the upcoming Big East tournament. Arizona, the day after, hung on to beat Utah. They were number 8. They got upgraded to number 5 in the AP poll. Final score 105-99. That went to triple overtime. Wow. A very crazy game this past Thursday 1 week ago. Friday did not see much, but Saturday was a big day in college basketball, as it usually is. And we'll start with a upset, I guess you could call it. Gonzaga out of the AP poll this year for the first time since 2015 or 2016, I believe. They got a much-needed win over Kentucky, who was ranked about number 5, or I believe maybe number 10.
Gonzaga's like lower ranked this year, right?
Gonzaga's not even ranked.
Not
even
in the.
They haven't been.
Not even in
since,
March Madness
since December. They'll be in March Madness, but in the top 25, they weren't ranked. And the final score of that one, 89-85, as Gonzaga gets a big win. Kentucky got knocked down to 17 with that loss. Also had a big game with Kansas, just hanging on against Baylor 64-61, as number 4 defeats number 13 there. 2 upsets coming early in the week. Texas Tech upsetting now number 6 Kansas with a score 79-50, and Syracuse upsetting number 7 UNC with a final score 86-79. That was at the Carrier Dome up in New York. This Saturday, we've got a big game in the Big East. Number 4 Marquette at number 1 UConn. That is a game for the lead in the Big East. And if UConn wins that, you can pretty much give them the regular season championship unless they go through a collapse. UConn has pretty much been ranked at number 1 for the entire season. They were the defending national champions, and since about January, they've been number 1, even though they had some early season stumbles against
they've been playing great
and some other Big East schools. Monday, a top 10 matchup between number 10 Iowa State and number 3 Houston. That's in Houston, and that's also a big Big 12 game because Iowa State and Houston are tied for the Big 12 conference lead. Baylor and Texas Tech are tied for second or third, I guess, but they are all within 1 game. So that's a big battle in the Big 12. Same thing almost in the ACC, where UNC, Duke, and Virginia are all within 1 game, but UNC has a half-game lead over Duke. Of course, they beat them earlier this year. Purdue leads by 2 games over Illinois in the Big Ten, so there's not much to talk about there. And then in the Big East, as we said, UConn leads by 2.5 games over Marquette. If they get a win over Marquette this Saturday, they can pretty much clinch the regular season Big East championship. Pac-12 is kind of close, but it doesn't really matter. Number 5, Arizona leads by 1 game over Washington State, and the SEC is very close. Alabama, Auburn, South Carolina, and Tennessee all within 1 game of each other, but Alabama does lead over Auburn as they got a win over Auburn this past Saturday. Now we'll shift to the NHL, the National Hockey League, where we have the Stadium Series coming up this Saturday and Sunday at MetLife
Big couple
Stadium.
games.
2 big games, especially when it comes to the Metropolitan Division.
Oh, yeah,
and
for
the
sure.
Playoff chances of 2 of the teams involved, the Devils and the Flyers going at it, and then the 2 New York teams, the Rangers and the Islanders, going at it on Sunday. Both of these games on ABC. Sam,
so
let's get a preview.
As of now, the Rangers have 71 points in first in the Metro. The Devils and the Flyers, they're not even tight at all. Like, the Flyers have 64 points. Devils are 3 games behind them. Like, with how the Flyers have been playing, there's no way that the Devils are going to make a comeback and even get up to that 65-point mark where the Hurricanes are at now. They need a win, go on like a hot streak where they win like 10 games straight and hopefully get lucky. I mean, Flyers and Hurricanes are really tight right now. I have the Flyers just beating the Hurricanes out this season. The Hurricanes aren't having that great of a season. Definitely subpar. Definitely showing off that not that much experience as they were in the past couple of years with the playoffs, but eventually with their choke jobs. Islanders at 57 points. Not really nothing special. They are 5th in the Metro. I have the Rangers winning against the Islanders. I mean, I'm a Rangers fan, as I should. And then I think the Flyers are definitely beating the Devils on Saturday as well.
I think the Flyers-Devils game is the bigger game of those two. Not
Oh yeah, for sure.
from
Like,
a
it's just-
rivalry perspective, probably not. But
Rivalry
from-
perspective, definitely not.
from where we stand with just about a month, maybe two, maybe 1.5 to go until the playoffs are set, the Devils need a win. They're on a 2-game winning streak with wins over Seattle and Nashville, but they play the Kings tonight, which hopefully is a win, and a win over Philadelphia at MetLife, right down the road from Prudential Center in Newark. That would, I think, give them a lot of momentum.
The
to
Devils,
really go
the
on.
Devils' last 10 is 5-4-1 and they're on a 2-game win streak.
Yeah,
Wait,
but you also
and the Flyers are now 5-5 in their last 10 and with a 4-game win streak.
Yeah, but you also got to remember the Flyers have also played 2 more games, which, let's say the Devils win these next 2 games.
Yeah, they've played only 2 more games. It's not that significant.
If the Devils win the next 2 games and play the same amount as them, they're only 1 game down.
I mean, with
And
how the
so-
Devils have been playing this season, extremely subpar because of injuries. Like, there's no way you're making it. Like,
and the
there's
reason
no
why-
there's no way
and
you're
you
making
also
a
have like
difference.
the Islanders. The only reason why they're still in it is because they have 13 overtime losses. If they lost half of those, it would be second to last, third to last.
I mean,
Here's your schedule for the next couple of weeks until March 1st. You have the Kings today,
Which is winnable.
the Flyers on Saturday, then you have the Capitals on Tuesday,
That's a winnable.
and then you're playing the Rangers on February 22nd, which
loss.
is Thursday.
That's a
Then
loss.
you're playing the Canadians, which is a toss-up, Lightning, which you're losing, and then the Sharks.
The Lightning
which-
haven't been as good this year.
They're still playing solid.
They're
I think
third-
playing solid,
they're
they've
third
been
in
playing
the Atlantic
subpar to
right
how
now.
they've been playing last
Oh
year.
yeah, for sure.
But
Nope.
correct me if
But-
I'm wrong, Devils are the first team right outside the wild card.
Right now.
Right now.
They're 2 points out of the wild card. Toronto is
Red
2
Toronto.
And the
points above
remainder
the
of your
Cup.
season-
The Red Wings are on 60 points, and the Devils are
So
2
in
points
theory-
The
back.
remainder of your season looks really hard as well.
Well, we
like
do have
you-
the hardest season.
Like,
schedule.
there's no way. There's absolutely no way you're
if we
making the
can-
playoffs.
If we can win out a lot of the games that we have coming up, which a few of them are winnable, we could have a shot at making the postseason. Maybe not maybe not like a big spot where we could possibly want, but there's a shot we still could get there. But first things first, we gotta get defense and we gotta get a goalie. I know we just signed someone today on a entry level contract from the AHL, but
Akira Smith.
no, Isaac.
We
something.
have a chance. We have a fighting chance.
And
So
let me
do
just-
the Islanders.
And
Let me throw this out there really quickly.
The Devils looked really good their last 2 games. I mean, they're actually their last 3 games. They've only let up 3 goals in regulation and 2 to the Predators. I mean, they lost to the Hurricanes in overtime loss, which that game was. I mean, it was really close. There weren't that many whistles being blown.
Your easiest couple games
and
with
then-
the last 30 games remaining of your season are the Coyotes and the Penguins and the Sharks, and you're only playing each of them about once in the remainder of your season. Otherwise, you're playing the Maple Leafs a bunch. You're playing the Sabres a bunch. You're playing
Well, the
the
Rangers. a couple
Islanders,
times.
the Flyers,
We're playing teams
the
that are
Jets,
playing for
Golden
something.
Knights. Like
But
you're
we
not
beat
you're
the-
not you're not making the
But then you
playoffs.
look
But we
at-
beat the Golden Knights
and you
before,
look
and we
at
can
other-
do it again.
Yeah, you look at some of these teams. San Jose, that's winnable. LA, I know everyone thinks LA is one of these really good teams. They have less wins than the Devils. They only have 24 wins.
Because the West is
The
a little bit
Blues-
harder.
The Blues is always a winnable game. Coyotes winnable. Toronto, that's always it's Toronto, so they can either go amazing or let up 5 goals.
Like if we don't play bad, we've shown that we can beat good teams. Like we beat the
Maple Leafs in a really good conference right now, are behind the Bruins, Panthers, and Lightning, and have played 3 less games than the Lightning, and have played 2 less than the Panthers and the Bruins, sitting at 62 points. So
Yeah,
honestly,
they also have double the amount of overtime losses than the Devils do. They have the same amount of wins.
Yeah, but at least that's settled on the ice.
yeah.
And with that, I think we'll move to our main event. Let's start before we get into all the gloating. What were your
Yeah.
guys' thoughts on the game?
I thought it was a really good game. It was definitely way more defensive than I had thought it would be.
yes.
The over was the over-under was 47.5.
Missed out by a 1.
No,
Right.
missed out by half a point.
Half a
Half a point.
half a point. Wow,
You went over?
I didn't bet, but
I would have went under.
that's a lot.
honestly,
I'm joking.
I did not.
I think we can all agree, if the Niners didn't get that kick blocked, they would have won the game easy.
Not easy.
No.
It would have only been a 1-point game, and that wouldn't have let the Chiefs make the field
But that
goal.
still would have put them in a hard
It
position.
changes
It changes
the
the
whole
dynamic.
trajectory of the
If they
game.
made
Yeah,
that
for
point,
sure.
then the Chiefs would have had to go for the
yeah.
touchdown and
Right.
left to end the game.
Correct.
Which they probably would have gone because they still had like half a minute when they were in scoring position. And
Like they gave Mahomes too much of an open field to really put any pressure on him and make it a harder game
the
on him.
Niners did-
I think that's what happens when you're playing a guy like Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like you if the Chiefs were in that scenario, I don't think they're, having their whole backfield, just defending a deep pass if they're, against Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
But with Pat Mahomes, he had short 5-yard to 7-yard passes for the whole pretty much second half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
Chipping away at yardage and yardage and yardage and yardage. It became pretty easy. But one of the things I was most frustrated with, how well people were saying Brock Purdy played in the first half, and like how and I'm not disagreeing that Patrick Mahomes' internal clock was really moving fast in the first half.
Mhm.
They had identical stats, and you're
Yeah.
trying to tell
Yeah.
me that Brock Purdy was playing tremendous and Patrick Mahomes wasn't playing that well. Like
No.
it's just it's like a double standard that made no
saw,
sense.
For sure.
I saw this one thing. It was like top 5 best QBs for the game. Juwan Jennings, top number 1. I mean that pass, he 1 for 1 for a touchdown.
I found that to be lucky, but fair enough.
And then there was like Tony Romo, number 2 best QB. Amazing reporting. And a few other people. That
But
was
no,
random.
but no.
Romo was all
Honestly,
that. He ruined the
Brock
last
Purdy,
ball.
Brock Purdy only played visually better than Mahomes because he had so many more like 10-yard passes that were moving up the 49ers
Sure.
along the field way more like at a way higher pace compared to the Chiefs.
I feel
Like because the first half the Chiefs defense was mainly the problem. It wasn't the offense. Like I don't know.
The
Like,
49ers
the corners just played, and the line. It's like we said that it was going to be a battle on the line, and that first half, the San Francisco 49ers absolutely dominated on both sides of the line.
the 49ers messed up not running the ball in the second half.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
how do
absolutely.
you have the MVP of the National Football League, and you're not running the football? Like,
Yeah.
come on. Like,
There was too much passing.
I mean, Christian McCaffrey he led the 49ers not just in rushing but also receiving.
Didn't he have
had
like
80
an
yard-
average of like 6 yards per rush?
Well, he went 22 carries for 80 on the ground, but he matched that in the air too.
Mhm.
He had 8 receptions for 80 yards and a touchdown. So he pretty much was a receiver.
Like in the second half, he was running 6 yards per rush,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
the first half he was only running like I don't know, maybe 4 yards.
He averaged.
Like,
out
he
to
averaged-
about 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5,
per carry.
which isn't terrible.
No,
Yeah,
but
I
he
mean-
he also got 80 yards receiving.
Yeah,
Right.
So,
exactly.
And a touchdown.
How about
receiving,
this?
I know.
Patrick Mahomes was the rushing leader for the Chiefs.
Mhm.
He
Not a
had,
surprise.
he had 9 carries for 66 yards.
Not a
I feel
But
like
he
that
also,
was
Not
he also
surprised.
had like that 25-yard run.
that was a big issue.
Their running got stuffed by.
I think
San
when you look at-
Francisco the entire game.
I think when you
Yeah.
look more into the later game, towards the end of the third and really the whole fourth, they were really too focused on blocking the pass, watching the running back, that they left Mahomes literally with an open field for
Yep.
probably at least a good 90-something yards.
I think that was so effective because, Patrick Mahomes doesn't run options with the intention to
No.
run.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, he's always looking to pass the ball first.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Any
he just
quarterback.
happens to have an open field because people have to guard his,
Mm-hmm.
people can't come rush him because if they attack him on the option, he's just going to flip it over lefty or behind his
Yeah,
back,
exactly.
to the guy that they just left. So he never does run, which makes it or for me why it was so effective to have a
Yeah,
couple
I feel
runners.
like-
sure.
The Niners should have, instead of putting more pressure on Mahomes, send out a mic to watch him, keep them contained somehow. That would have affected the game a lot because
Put Fred Vaughn.
And honestly, let's just talk about that absolutely terrible choice on the coin toss in the overtime.
Well, they
Oh.
recognized they didn't know the new overtime rules.
How do
Exactly.
you not know the
Like,
rules
how
for
do
the
you not,
Super Bowl?
like-
it's the
They thought it
Super Bowl.
was the normal regular season rules where
Oh my
it was
gosh.
touchdown and it's over.
It would have been
They
so
changed
funny
it.
to see them celebrating like they had won the Super Bowl. Even
Kyle
though
Shanahan
it was
down.
still half.
Oh,
half
you know,
the-
I saw the
half the,
video and
overtime was to go.
I saw the mic'd up video from Shanahan and the Chiefs sideline. Shanahan was like, go for it, and when they won the coin toss, Chiefs sideline when they found out
They were happy.
What?
Yeah,
like,
they were
everyone
thrilled.
was so shocked.
Mahomes was
They were
shocked.
already-
Yeah,
because
I like that
apparently
video.
Andy
The
Reid,
offense
Andy
was
Reid had
ready.
gone over it multiple times that these were the overtime rules and that's what you had to do. You had to take the ball second.
Yeah, I mean everyone on the field, everyone on the Chiefs team was ready to hit the field.
Mhm.
I mean,
Like,
Josh Allen rule going crazy.
Honestly,
But what up to Kirk Cousins' curse? No team lost to Kirk Cousins and went to win the Super Bowl.
yeah.
What did you guys think of the? I know we're jumping around a little bit, but a lot of controversy around Travis Kelce
Oh, yes.
bumping Andy Reid
I
a
thought that
little
was
bit.
disgusting.
Right.
Oh,
but I
so many memes.
I
I
saw
thought,
some-
I thought it was funny.
I thought it was funny.
Mad Dog thought it was funny.
I
Love it.
Travis Kelce did come out about it, saying that he was just really passionate and he loves Andy Reid. He wouldn't play for anyone else.
He's been hopped up
So,
on
no,
something since the AFC
yeah.
Championship game.
For sure.
If you saw him in that game, it looked like he was on steroids or something. They were
Mhm.
making him angry, and I guess they carried over to this one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, no, he was on his own podcast with his brother Jason the other
Yeah.
day, and he was like, "Yeah, they both recognized that it was totally
Stupid.
uncalled
What's
for
wrong?
him to bump into Andy Reid.
Bump
Like,
into
and
him. He fell on
He
shots.
said
yeah,
he said if Andy Reid would have
Co-
talked to him, he
would've
would have just
ate
taken it.
Yeah.
He would just ate it.
Yeah,
Because
I don't think I don't
that would
think
have been funny.
It would've been
A
funny, right?
sideline fight breaks
it would've
out
been.
in the middle of the Super Bowl.
I don't
Andy
think
Reid's on
I don't
top.
think the intention was actually to bump him. I think
No.
that was a coincidence, but I still don't agree with a player
Yelling at their
chirping
coach.
in their coach's ear. Although it is in my mind using those two as an example. It's just it is an example of their relationship. You know, someone who feels
Yeah.
comfortable
in that
like that.
in that regime,
Not saying it's right, and I think if he were to be given a second chance, he probably wouldn't handle it the same way.
For sure.
But you don't react that way to someone you're not comfortable with,
Mhm.
unless you're
Absolutely.
Unless something-
absolutely crazy,
unless something's really wrong.
Yeah.
and then you're a cancer to a team, and no one wants you.
Yeah.
If,
Yeah.
if you do that with everybody, no one wants you on the team.
According
No.
to the ESPN, the Niners had pretty much an 88% chance to win
Mm.
with 6.5 minutes left in OT, even though they're only up 3 points.
Well,
and then it went from it dropped down to 74, or actually 77, and then nope, all Chiefs.
All we needed was a
Chiefs.
15% chance to
Yeah.
win. If
Oh,
you know what I mean.
the Niners had a good chance to win the entire game.
Oh,
and
yeah.
save for
And
a
I'm
few
gonna just
spots
throw
in the
this
third
out there real
quarter,
quick.
up until
I
the
don't
last
think
drive.
I'm gonna just throw this out there real quick. I know it's probably you're not gonna like this,
Mm.
but I don't think Patrick Mahomes is as great of a quarterback as everyone makes him
Yeah.
seem. I just think he has the clutch factor that makes him seem good.
Yeah.
What's more
But
important than that?
But doesn't the clutch factor come with him? So doesn't that make him
That
a
and
quarterback?
paying the refs.
Yeah,
Here's
kissing the
the
ref
salty
fees.
Oh my
Raiders.
god.
Mm.
No, but
I'm
look
fire
at
at will.
the Viking
Uh,
look at the Viking
I'm
game
just
against
not
the
gonna-
Chiefs. I mean,
Especially at Michael.
Mm.
oh yeah, he's super salty about it.
Both of these.
You know
What makes him? I'll entertain you for a second.
Okay.
What makes him not one of the best quarterbacks of all time? That you who is to you?
Tom
Like,
Brady.
Yeah,
Okay, so
Brady.
Tom Brady is why.
Brady.
Tom Brady also had that clutch factor. so
Okay,
your
he-
argument
okay.
is-
What makes him
So-
more effective?
I think that Tom Brady is more effective in the sense that some of the play calling and some of the vision is just
Yeah.
a little bit
Tom
better.
Brady could read the defense. He was literally just the field general you wanted for your
He
team.
changed the
Okay.
play several times. I mean, Gronk. I saw this one thing that Gronk said on I think Edelman's podcast.
Mhm.
Yeah,
He was like, yeah, Tom told us the one play, saw the defense. Like, no, Gronk, get in position. and told him to go other side
I
of
just-
the field.
Complete
I
other
want to
side of the
entertain
field.
for a second.
Even though Belichick told him to run like a short route, he ended up running a slow.
And I just want to throw this out there real quick. Even though he had Brady has that 128-3 game, Patrick Mahomes has come back twice in the Super Bowl in the second half.
All right.
Not in the first half, in the second half.
How about the AFC Championship 2019?
It's
Texans
just clutch.
were destroying the Chiefs, and then all of a sudden the Chiefs come back and win that.
So what does that mean?
It's
Does
just-
that mean he's not as good of a quarterback?
No.
He won.
I think
No,
you're.
I'm agreeing with
I'm
you.
acknowledging that he's a very good quarterback.
Mhm.
I'm just saying that in the early game stages of the game,
Mhm.
like from kickoff to mid third quarter,
He's mediocre.
he's mediocre at best.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say I agree with you that he's not at his best until about halfway through the third quarter,
Mhm.
but I wouldn't say he's mediocre. I would say he's still very good.
He's a very good quarterback. I'm not going
He's
to
still-
disagree with that.
Top,
I mean,
first 3.5 quarter or first 2.5 quarter, Patrick Mahomes is the top 5 quarterback in the league. Final 1.5 quarter, Patrick Mahomes is the number 1 quarterback in
for
the
sure.
league.
This
I
year,
think that's what we can say.
this year
Mhm.
just did not look like Patrick Mahomes. I mean,
Well,
yes, they.
who you
what-
throwing at? Who you throwing to?
Well, I'm just
Who you
saying.
throwing?
that-
Darius Tony.
Yeah.
Yes.
that's
You're when you look at
Especially in the regular season.
when you're looking
Especially
at
week
when you're
one.
looking at his interceptions, and granted, there were games where I was very frustrated at him because he was trying to be even more Patrick Mahomes than he actually is. Meaning, like he's just trying to make plays out of nothing, and I think it got a little too far because I don't know how confident he was in his wide receivers, and that's why he overdid it a little bit. But he didn't really have. When you look at his interception stats, how many of
Yeah.
those were balls that were
Yeah.
just knocked off someone's hands? They're like, there's nothing he could do about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like,
also, do
and
you just
I-
want to throw this out there? In week 15, you were 9-6.
Yeah,
you
we
were
weren't
just
good.
you were just barely able to make essentially make the playoffs in certain senses.
But
I think-
Mahomes in his first 2 road playoff games showed up.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
I
he
think
made it there.
Yeah.
I think if the receivers could have done more, not saying that they're bad, but not saying they're good either.
Mhm.
Patrick Mahomes could have easily had 35 to 40 touchdowns, even maybe closer to 50.
No.
So let me ask you a question. If you insert Tom Brady on this team,
Okay.
Who you started?
are we better? No.
No.
Are we better? Are we winning the Super Bowl?
About the
Take-
same.
And depends.
Take out
Depends
Patrick-
because
Patrick Mahomes
because
playing-
Patrick Mahomes is more mobile
Yes.
than Tom Brady, and we all know that from their
Okay, it
40
depends.
times.
Yeah.
Are
Because
you
Tom
putting-
Brady has one of the slowest 40 times for a
Yeah,
quarterback.
but also, are
ever?
you putting
For a
45-year-old
player.
Tom
Yeah.
Brady or are you putting 35-year-old Tom Brady?
I will put the best version of Tom Brady you have in your mind.
So,
Oh,
so
seven.
we're
Oh,
putting
seven.
in 2007 Brady, which
Sure.
despite not winning the Super Bowl,
Sure.
thank you, Eli.
An
Manning,
absolute
Mhm.
demon.
But
Yep.
yes,
2007.
he had Randy Moss, he had
Demon.
all those guys.
Yep.
That was the best season in Patriots
4,800
history
yards,
without
50
a Super Bowl,
touchdowns.
probably anyway.
Mhm.
Yep.
We put him on that team.
Are we winning the Super Bowl?
Upgrade your offensive line, I think, is
Absolutely.
is
Yeah.
the biggest thing.
Absolutely.
Because as Sam mentioned, he's not as mobile as Mahomes.
Okay.
Mahomes
Or
has
get-
the ability to run around when his line breaks down, which happens a lot.
Mhm.
Brady
Okay.
does not have
And I
that
think
same ability.
the only reason why the Chiefs may be able to win if they had Brady in that sense of replacing Mahomes is if they had an upgraded line and due to Tom Brady's visuals and being able to tell people where to go and how to audible routes.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is if you insert the best quarterback of all time in the absolute best season he's ever had
Yep.
onto this team with no other changes, you're not confident he would win the Super Bowl.
I wouldn't say not confident.
I'm not
I would say
Yeah.
I feel
It's
like
a
he-
toss-up.
I
I
feel like
would
he
say
come close
it's
like
a
this year.
possibility that he doesn't.
I mean, I can.
Okay.
And
I would say,
Kadarius
I'm
Tony
confident
healthy
because-
scratch. Kadarius Tony healthy scratch.
I
Let me just throw
because,
that out there.
because Tom Brady, without the mobility, he could create a perfect play in any moment.
Sure.
Exactly.
That was his thing.
Exactly.
Mahomes can't exactly do that. He's
Sure.
been, I feel like, relying on Andy Reid to
Yep.
do most
Yes.
of the play calling,
Sure.
do
Yeah.
almost all of that stuff. But when Mahomes gets into the game, all on his own in his mind. He can scramble. He can find
That's
the
what he has
guy.
to do.
He can flip it behind his back, throw it over his head, and
Yeah.
then throw
Let me
it
just
for
throw this
80
out there.
yards.
Andy Reid used a play from a janitor.
Mhm.
Have you seen that
I
interview?
did.
Yeah,
And to win
spin
back-to-back
route.
Super Bowls, corn dog.
Okay, so now you're
Corn dog.
associating the best quarterback of all time, his intellectual ability,
His intellectual
Is-
ability
is-
for the game.
his IQ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His
Full
football IQ is higher. I will
Absolutely.
take that. I will absolutely 110% accept that.
But-
I'm not sure that means that Patrick Mahomes is not one of the best
No.
quarterbacks of all time.
I think
I don't think
I don't
we
think-
said that he's not one of the
I
best.
think-
of all time.
I heard a lot of averages. I heard a lot of he's an average quarterback.
he's a
I
little-
heard that.
he's-
I think I heard that.
Let's
Let's
I
play the
would say
tape.
just
Let's
above
see.
average.
Let's take it with a
He's
grain
just
of salt
above
because
average.
one of those guys that said it was a Raiders fan and one of those guys that said it was a fan of a team that he just beat in the Super Bowl a year ago.
Yeah.
So
I
Okay.
think
So we'll take it where it
we'll,
comes
we'll
I'd
take
say-
it with a grain of
Yeah.
salt.
Yes.
say if Patrick Mahomes' football IQ can rise up to where he can make
And who just won the Super Bowl?
Well,
in your
if-
own
if-
in your own stadium.
If he can improve that and he
Yeah.
continues to do what he's doing, is he the best quarterback of all time?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. I think
feel
if,
like he's the best quarterback of all
Yeah.
time.
I mean, he
feel like
needs
if-
maybe a couple more
he can-
accolades.
if he can
That's
get
about it.
If
if he can get Tom Brady IQ, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. You cannot
Not
change my mind.
not even Tom Brady IQ. I think if he just lasts as long as Brady and wins as much as Brady.
That
Yeah.
well,
I think if
at,
you-
at the end of the day,
he's the
that's
best of
like
all time.
you
Because
have to
Brady,
go
If
by
he
wins.
becomes
more-
as
Brady
unbearable
more
as
than
Brady
Mahomes-
was,
I think Brady more than Mahomes was average.
Look at his
Mm.
trophy.
Because
And-
Mahomes,
yes.
Mahomes has that electric factor. He can move around. He can, as I said, he can go behind his back,
Yeah.
play basketball or
Yeah.
whatever, and still win a game
Yeah.
Mhm.
against more than half of the teams
Yeah.
in the league right now. And that
Yeah.
may just be because the league's mediocre
Sure.
or because he's got talent.
Mhm.
He
It
can
could
be
be both. It could be
Could-
one or the other.
And part of the reason why I hold Brady on a pedestal like I am right now is because even though he had a fantastic team when he was winning Super Bowls, he was going up against S tier teams.
Peyton Manning.
In his own
Eli
conference.
Manning.
Exactly.
Peyton Manning every year.
Yeah.
Drew Brees
Drew
almost
Brees,
every year.
but that was out of conference.
Big
And
Ben,
he-
Prime.
Eli Manning when he would play.
Prime Big Ben.
Prime Big Ben.
Prime Eli Manning.
Eli,
Yeah,
which
we
he
have-
lost to.
Yeah, Eli
Yeah,
which
Manning
he
twice.
lost to
Twice.
twice.
We have
in
to
the
consider-
I'm
season.
Eli Manning. I'm nice.
Mhm.
Tom Brady's the GOAT.
Psych,
Psych!
I
I beat him twice.
Eli, dude.
I'll be
Beautiful.
back.
We can have a
I'll
whole
be
podcast
back.
on
Hey,
Eli.
hey, hey.
Matt Ryan.
And then he lost to Nick Foles. So
Mm.
Yeah.
Then
I mean-
then you also have the smaller, just as well known QBs, Matt Ryan, Philip Rivers.
Yeah.
Yes, they didn't win Super Bowls, but they still
I
broke
think
a lot of records.
just in the
Exactly.
AFC,
Mm.
you had Big Ben, you had Peyton Manning
Exactly.
every year of Brady's career. Peyton
Exactly.
Manning
Every
was
single
there.
time it would be
Matt Ryan.
Steelers, Patriots,
Not in
especially
his
when it was
conference.
the
I'm talking
three
about the
Bs.
AFC.
Oh yeah,
That-
Philip Rivers.
When you
Yeah, Philip Rivers.
when you looked at Patriots Steelers when it was the three Bs versus Brady and Gronk and Edelman, it was like you're watching an AFC championship every single time.
And you're
Oh, yeah.
still and you're watching Mahomes play against teams that are still figuring out their QB status.
Yes.
Josh Allen,
Oh.
he's a good quarterback. He throws it a little too much, so he gets more interceptions. He's a good
Mhm.
quarterback if he can actually learn how to
And
sit.
then, and then he plays in a division with two teams that are really bad, Raiders and Broncos, and then
Exactly.
the Chargers
Yeah,
who
we-
can't
Huh?
win.
You
Who
agreed.
can't win a game.
I said
Mhm.
What
Josh
are you
Allen.
saying?
Oh,
I was
we-
talking about Josh Allen.
You know who we forgot about?
I was talking about the
We
AFC.
forgot
West.
about Brett Favre.
Mm.
Beginning of Tom Brady's career, Brett Favre was still at. I mean, he was at the end, but he was still kind of in his prime.
No,
But they
It was
never
towards the end.
played.
They never-
Well,
Favre was in Green
Aaron
Bay.
Rodgers.
I
Yeah, but
I
okay,
will
okay.
tell you.
Same
I
with
will tell you
Rodgers.
this.
They only
Mhm.
played 1 year.
Something that I'm concerned about with Pat Mahomes that, obviously looking back at Tom Brady's career, we can say this. Tom Brady barely got touched.
Mhm.
Ever.
Yeah.
I don't know if Pat
And
Mahomes...
when he did, it was a roughing
what-
the passer.
Exactly. I don't know if Patrick Mahomes will be able to sustain his athleticism long enough
No.
to... I don't think he... I mean, listen, he certainly can throw the football, but, he's not the pocket passer that Tom Brady is.
no.
No, most
And-
of his good passes were outside the pocket.
Correct.
Most
So
of his-
that's where I'm concerned about his ability to play as long
Yeah.
as he has.
Maybe.
And his,
As he ages,
Yeah.
maybe he turns from this mobile
Two more.
I wouldn't. I'll say Michael Vick, but a bit less Michael Vick.
Yeah.
This mobile guy who can throw, he can run, he can do whatever.
Yeah.
More towards that Brady, that pocket passer, that pure pocket guy.
Yeah.
As he ages.
I
think that may.
He did adapt
and
this year.
if he adapts like that, I think he's the best quarterback.
He adapted this year. He adapted. I mean, the playoffs. He beat every single top team in the league. So he had, with not really much offensive weapons. So he really did adapt. In my mind, I'm curious if he can adapt his own career.
And on that, I think it's time to end 25-22, the final score. The Chiefs get their third Super Bowl win in the past 5 years, fourth overall. Unfortunately, we did have some sad news at the parade. There was a shooting, one dead, and a lot of kids unfortunately hurt, so our thoughts do go out to the people of Kansas City right now. And with that, we'll say goodbye to the NFL for this season. We'll say goodbye to you for now. We'll be back
for baseball.
We'll be back here next Thursday because with our snow day this past Tuesday here at Pascack Hills, we had our schedules all out of whack. That's why we're here on this Thursday, and that's why we'll be back next Thursday for you. Stay tuned here on the PH Athletics YouTube channel. We'll have the Pascack Clutch podcast and a lot more with Hill Sports. So for Mr. Casamento, Sam Koppelman, Michael, and Alex McKay, this is Matthew Marino. So long from the Pascack Clutch crew.